Rohit loved plants. He purchased some potted plants to keep in his room. During his midterm vacation, he and his parents went on a 10-day trip. Before going on the trip, Rohit placed the plants in front of the window to allow an adequate amount of light to fall on the plants and to prevent plants from wilting. After returning from the trip, Rohit noticed that most of the plants got wilted and turned yellow. He was puzzled. As the light was adequate, then why did the plants wilt? He then thought, are there any other factors apart from light that might have caused the wilting of the plants or affected the rate of photosynthesis? In this session, let's help Rohit to understand out the factors that affect the rate of photosynthesis and the deficiency of factors that cause the plant to wilt. Before sowing crops, farmers must have a clear idea of the factors affecting the rate of photosynthesis. The rate of photosynthesis is affected by several factors, both internal and external. Do you know what is the other name for internal factors? The internal factors are also known as plant factors. Can you now guess which factors are considered as plant factors? There are many factors such as number, size, age and orientation of leaves, mesophyll cells and chloroplast, internal concentration of carbon dioxide, and the number of chlorophyll molecules present. These internal factors are not independent. They are dependent on the genetic predisposition and the growth of the plant. Now, let us have a look at the external factors. And in this session, we'll be focusing on the external factors. External factors or environmental factors are the factors outside the plant body. These factors are the availability of sunlight, temperature, carbon dioxide concentration, water, etc. The rate of photosynthesis is affected drastically by these factors. Although many factors interact and affect the rate of photosynthesis, usually one major factor acts as the limiting factor if the amount is not present at the optimum level. We will now discuss the law of limiting factors. This law was proposed by Blackman. According to this law, if a chemical process is affected by more than one factor, then the rate will be determined by the factor which is nearest to its minimal value. It is the factor which directly affects the process if its quantity is changed. Now, let me ask you a question. Will photosynthesis take place if a plant has green leaves, optimum light, the right concentration of carbon dioxide, but low temperature? The process of photosynthesis will not take place. So, when will the process of photosynthesis take place? When the limiting factor, that is, the temperature reaches its normal level. Now, let's discuss the external factor in detail. We already know that there are four main external factors, namely light, carbon dioxide concentration, temperature and water. Well, let's start with the first factor, that is light. Light quality, light intensity and the duration of light, all these three factors affect the process of photosynthesis. Interestingly, you can see there is a linear relationship between the incidence light and the rate of carbon dioxide fixation. But if the light intensity goes beyond the optimum level, the rate of photosynthesis does not show any increase, and this is due to the other factors, as they are acting as the limited factors. Now, except for plants in shade and forest plants, light rarely becomes a limiting factor, as light saturation occurs only at 10% of full sunlight. Can you guess what happens to the plant when the light intensity goes beyond the optimum level? We might think if the light increases, obviously the rate of photosynthesis also increases, right? But this is completely a misconception. The increased light intensity causes the breakdown of chlorophyll and the rate of photosynthesis decreases. Let's now move to the next factor, that is concentration of carbon dioxide. We know that the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is very low, that is approximately 0.03 to 0.04%. When the concentration increases slightly, the rate of photosynthesis increases. Now, what happens when there is a huge increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide? Will it affect the photosynthetic rate? We have already discussed about C3 and C4 plants in our previous sessions. Can you relate how the concentration of carbon dioxide affects the C3 and C4 plants? The saturation point of carbon dioxide in C4 plant is less, that is 360 ml per liter, and that of C3 plant is 450 ml per liter. Low concentration of carbon dioxide in C3 plants leads to another process known as photorespiration. Hence, carbon dioxide acts as a limiting factor in C3 plants, but not in C4 plants. Do you know one thing? In greenhouses, the carbon dioxide concentration is kept high to increase the yield of tomatoes and bell pepper, and to prevent the process of photorespiration. Now that we are familiar with the two factors, we'll see the third factor, which is temperature. Temperature plays an important role. The dark reaction is mostly driven by enzymes. Hence, if the temperature goes beyond the optimum level, the enzyme break down and the process get affected. In C3 plants, the optimum temperature is less than that of C4 plants. So, what can be inferred from this? We can infer that the plants in tropical region can tolerate more temperature than the plants in the temperate regions. Well, what is the last external factor that we are going to discuss? Yes, it's water. We know that during the light reaction, water is a reactant. The water undergoes photolysis to produce hydrogen ion and oxygen. During photosynthesis, water indirectly causes many effects such as water stress can cause the stomata to close, leaves to wilt, etc. Now you might be clear why the plants kept by Rohit in his room wilted and turned yellow when he was not at home for 10 days. In this session, we have seen the plants capturing energy and converting it into organic compounds. So, what will happen to the organic compounds produced? How will the plants utilize the energy stored in these organic compounds? Are these organic compounds available only to plants or even for other living organisms? Let's find the answer to all these questions in our next session. Let's now summarize what we have learned.
Manorama Horizon. Learning made simple.